And now for something completely different.
Qualifications?
No way!
Can he do that?
He did.
But wait! There's more!
Okay, keep going.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Well, shit.
I don't care. I don't care.
Also,
Kathleen Kennedy!
Fuck you.
Hey dudes and dudettes, I'm your one and only Dragon Bro, and I've finally returned to continue covering this show. Now for those of you in the comments telling me that my actual name is Dragonslayer Commentaries, could you please stop saying that? My psychiatrist is being a narc by telling me that it's my actual name and that I'm projecting another personality due to how frustrating this current Mandalorian season has been, but I'll never believe the words of that medical industry shill.
I don't believe.
Anyway, if you want some context as to why I'm doing these reviews, or if you just started watching The Mandalorian Season 3 Turd Chronicles, I recommend that you check out the first video of the series on the top right before continuing to watch this video. Other than that, let's continue our coverage of the most explosive episodes of the series so far.
Wait, what?
So we begin this episode in the most Disney way possible by wasting 3.5 minutes of our time in the beginning to let us know that Karga means business and wanting to install that new rail spur to boost trade in the city instead of investing in private military forces, and that it probably wasn't such a good idea to let that pirate goon from episode 1 live.
That's on you.
The good news, at least, is that Karga cares enough about his people to not abandon them and leads an evacuation into Navarro's caves, but before he does that, he quickly uses one of his astromech droids to send out a distress signal to the New Republic that is received by Captain Carson Teva in an outpost bar to let them know of their precarious situation, while getting a 24-second cameo from Sebs of Star Wars Rebels that boils down to him telling Teva that it'll take a very long time for the New Republic to send help due to them being swamped by assistance requests from member planets.
At times like this.
Also, Teva thinks that his plan will work if he goes to Coruscant himself to request the government to allow his squadron to assist Navarro, but when his calm approach doesn't work, he decides to go off on the very inept government officer by telling him that Imperial remnants have been seen gathering their forces in the Outer Rim, and that he strongly believes Moff Gideon could be behind orchestrating all of this. But of course, the ex-Imperial Gestapo bitch is back again to take up space in the scene by trying to blow off Captain Teva's warning, like as if the Imperial remnants are nothing but harmless guerrillas.
totally harmless.
Frustrated with the current government's lack of action, Captain Teva takes matters into his own hands and goes to the secret Mandalorian hideout planet thanks to directions given to him by the cowardly astromech from Episode 2 to give Mando Karga's distress transmission, but also to tell him that he should probably go out to help his old friend because his hands are politically tied, and because he thinks the Imperial remnants are responsible for spurring on the pirates to attack Navarro.
You don't say. Huh?
After hearing these news, Mando holds a conference with his fellow Mandalorians that lasts about 3 minutes that concludes with all of them easily agreeing to help Mando in his task of helping Karga, the man that once drove them out of the planet in Season 1, because Mando coerced them with the promise of land that he gave him in Episode 1, and for them, any other place is better than living in this dangerous desert planet dump where flying dinosaurs and crocodile monsters attack their idiotic asses every single day.
They are everywhere.
Anyway, the Mandalorians fly off to Navarro where we get a shot of the unaware pirates enjoying their booty even if their face masks don't work, until their good vibes are abruptly interrupted by the Mandalorians, who I'm guessing will have a hard time
Wait, what?
What the hell is going on?
How did you get in?
Don't ask.
Okay, you know what?
I don't even care anymore.
Okay, I guess Mandalorians are now like those anime shonen manga teacher archetypes that act all goofy and incompetent in most situations, but are overwhelmingly strong in reality when serious situations require them to stop pretending to be weak.
Stop fooling around, you simp.
Anyway, the pirate threat is wiped out easily and Karga upholds his word to Mando by granting the Mandalorians land in Navarro. At the same time, the armorer takes Bo-Katan to the former underground hideout of the Coven to monologue about how great the good old days of Mandalore were before it got carpet bombed into oblivion by the Imperials. But she then tells her to remove her helmet and walk outside with her to show her face to everyone because she has now declared that Bo-Katan is the chosen one that will unite all of the Mandalorian tribes under one banner because she has walked both worlds, which I guess means she's earned the respect of both the traditionalist and contemporary Mandalorians. Yet the only problem I have with this is that number one, this decision of the armorer feels like it came out of nowhere, and number two, the guy in front of her still has the dark saber.
I don't like where this is going.
Oh yeah, we also get a 3-minute long scene where Captain Teva confirms to one of his droids that the ship that was transporting Moff Gideon to trial was attacked as a way to escape punishment, and that the people who killed the rest of the crew while extracting him were most likely Mandalorians because the ship had a residue of Beskar metal on it, like as if no one else could get their hands on Beskar after the Empire fell. But other than that, Disney follows the usual formula of this season, which is to end each episode in a very abrupt way. So as a way to showcase this, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and hit that whole like, share, subscribe, and all notifications bell button stuff real quick if you're enjoying the video. But other than that, we're moving on to the most controversial episode of this entire season.
What the was that? Okay?
Alright, so we begin this episode by wasting our time with a pointless 4-minute scene of some alien Romeo and Juliet getaway failing miserably because they get caught by Mandalorian mercenaries. And look, I'm not going to cover these pointless minutes anyway, because when it comes to it having any relevance to the overall episode plot,
We ain't found shit.
moving on, we are then shown a scene of the actual plot where Mando and Bo-Katan are entering this paradise planet, and whoa, why are Bo-Katan and Grogu sitting next to each other like that? Disney, you may have kept many gullible people guessing as to what you're trying to say in this shot, but mark my words,
My dragon eyes can see right through your subliminal activism BS.
Sneaky fucks.
Anyway, the objective of the trio is to convince the former posse of Bo-Katan's Mandalorians on the planet to join her crusade with the other tribes to retake Mandalore, but the seriousness of the episode is immediately interrupted when the PSA system of the planet's air traffic control hacks into their ship to make them land in the loading dock, and then they are taken against their will by an Epcot ride into the palace because the bureaucracy of this planet kindly requests their assistance.
Oh, hell no!
Now, before I show you this, I need to make the disclaimer that not only did this scene go up through the chain of command and was approved to be filmed, edited, and then included in the final cut of this episode, but also that everything except the last bit was not edited by me.
Join us! Come! It's a party! Come!
It's Godzilla!
Right! That settles it! Walk away. Just ignore them.
That was childish, man.
Moving on.
Right, so to save you some time, the fish excretion-eating SNL skit rulers of the planet let Mando and Bo-Katan know that the reason they were invited over was to help them out in solving a very big problem that they're currently facing, which is that the salvage battle droids they've turned into peaceful civil servants are all of a sudden acting out of control and causing a lot of alarming, violent disturbances throughout their societies, such as this one showed by their chief of security, Christopher Lloyd, who constantly complains as he's showing them that the planet's becoming a weak place where only pansies live and depend on the government droids for even basic needs.
That our security camera's caught.
Gee, that looks like fun.
Look, don't ask me why Christopher Lloyd is in this episode of The Mandalorian, because the only sensible answer I can give you is that Disney gave him a fat check that he really needed to play a character that would require zero effort to pull off, so that's why he accepted the job, and also know that you won't see Grogu again until the end of the episode, because Mando leaves this child alone with the hungry, abominable Shamu Lizzo.
Get in my belly! Come on!
Going back to the plot, Mando and Bo-Katan go see a bunch of Ugnaughts to ask them more details about the droid problems, but none of them want to speak to the duo until Mando starts to speak in their speech format that he knows one of their own kind and that he kindly requests their assistance in solving the situation.
Are you serious?
After being told by the Ugnaughts the location of the problematic droids, the duo goes down to what I assume to be a restricted loading dock where the droid bigot Mando starts bullying innocent black battle droids doing their daily task until one of them decides they've had enough of this show and punches Mando out of the way in order to gain some footing as a runaway slave droid. But after a short chase scene, the poor bastard ends up getting tackled to the ground by Mando and shot by Bo-Katan in public, which leads to them finding out that the cause of the droid's malfunctioning is that their spark pads, which are only acquired at a certain place, have been altered with codes that promote violent behavior in these droids.
Technology.
After figuring out the location, the duo enters the premises to find out
Hey, yo, what the f?
Look, don't ask me how or why droids have bars now in Star Wars, because until this episode I had no idea they existed. But to get back on track with the plain plot, the duo question the droid bartender who supplies spark pads to the others to find out exactly why all of the rogue battle droid spark pads came from this exact place. And after being threatened to have his memory circuit torn out by Mando, the bartender ends up telling them that the spark pad they found is from a specific batch that has apparently been altered to give incorrect commands to the repurposed battle droids.
Oh, it makes sense.
Moving on, the duo goes back to a data analyst to find out the origin of the altered chips, but are interrupted when one of the droids helping the analyst goes haywire and starts shooting lasers at them like crazy, which causes a short fight scene that concludes with Mando slicing this droid in half with a feminist darksaber by swinging it clumsily downwards like it's a 30-pound club, and then they find out through the data analyst that the spark pad's code was intentionally altered by none other than Christopher Lloyd. But is anyone really surprised by this?
Honestly, no.
Anyway, they go confront Christopher Lloyd about his betrayal, where we find out that throughout this entire time, he was actually a separatist who looked up to Count Dooku, and as he's giving his monologue manifesto about how great the Count was, Bo-Katan decides to be an ass and interrupt the old man while he's talking by zapping him with a taser without even thinking of the possibility that if he had accidentally pressed a big red button as he was falling down, that all of the repurposed battle droids in the entire planet would have turned violent on the population immediately.
You're not very bright, are you?
No, I'm not. I would like to be, but I'm not.
Shortly thereafter, we cut to a scene of Grogu using the Force to help Lizzo cheat in some weird armadillo slug ball game until Mando and Bo-Katan show up to bring the culprit of all of their problems to their attention. But because the ruling class of this planet is very stupid, they decide to give in to their emotions and exile Christopher Lloyd's ass to some nearby moon that is the equivalent of an elementary school teacher telling an unruly child to sit in the corner for being too naughty because he served the royal family for a long time.
Naughty, naughty.
Afterwards, Lizzo and Jack Black reward the duo with the key to the city, and Grogu ends up getting a knighthood from Lizzo out of nowhere, which by Bo-Katan's actress face, who is an actual Star Wars fan, tells me that all of her hard work to get to this point of playing this popular established character has been wasted by Disney using her talent and time to film such a cringe-worthy scene and episode.
That's f***ed up.
Oh yeah, we then continue the main story plot in the last 5 minutes of the episode, where the duo go to this recently mowed Southern California park lawn where her Mandalorian posse is located, and she tries very hard to convince her posse to come back with her to Navarro to gather the Mandalorians to retake their homeworld. But then one of her former captains named Axe says that they're not doing shit for her because she doesn't have the Darksaber, and then she challenges him out of spite to a duel that ends up devolving into a WWE wrestling match with jetpacks where Bo-Katan takes hard hits to her face, yet somehow manages to achieve the impossible by winning the match without a single scratch, broken nose, or bloody stain.
It's like a Disney movie.
Even though she won the duel fair and square, Axe and his men still won't follow her because she still hasn't challenged Mando to a duel for the Darksaber, and if you think this is finally the time where we're going to get that fateful duel that we've waited all along, then you are sorely mistaken, because what actually ends up occurring is 10 times worse, because Mando all of a sudden turns into Jon Snow from Game of Thrones and willingly gives up the Darksaber to her by giving her former posse the excuse that when he got his ass captured by that Warhammer 40k droid from episode 2, the Darksaber was left behind, and that Bo-Katan was the one who picked it up and used it to defeat the droid. So due to that, she currently is the rightful owner of the Darksaber by Creed. And then the episode abruptly ends with her looking in complete disbelief that she was able to get the Darksaber so easily.
Shut when you think about God.
Wow, Disney, what a great message to send to all young girls around the world, that in life everything needs to be handed down to you automatically by a man, even if you didn't have to work hard at all to earn it. Yet I honestly think that because of this toxic mentality you're trying to vigorously promote, that you will end up seeing many young women in the coming years have very rough awakenings to reality and will not be able to handle it in their daily lives, which really saddens me.
It's sad.
Look, I'm sorry to end this video on such a somber note, but you see, I originally wasn't planning on covering this season because I thought it was going to be a good one that wouldn't garner much attention like Andor due to the negative woke stigma that is currently associated with Star Wars, but when I saw just how much Disney didn't even care about their most successful original IP in a long time, I decided that I had to go back and cover all of these episodes in detail in order to find out for myself and you guys what exactly went wrong. Now, what I found out unfortunately was that a mountain of careless lack of detail, pointless pandering to a political agenda your regular Star Wars fan doesn't care about, and Kathleen Kennedy hijacking the Mandalorian project from a pissed off Jon Favreau after the failure of Book of Boba Fett ended up heralding the end of what could have been a timeless Star Wars series.
They ruin everything, and
Now, to end on a more positive note, how about we all do our part as actual fans of Star Wars and use the crazy Twitter activists as own weapons against them by making the hashtag #FireTheKennedyWitch the #1 trending hashtag on the app when it comes to Star Wars. Other than that, guys, be on the lookout for the last part of the Mandalorian Season 3 Turd Chronicles that's currently in the works, and Namarie.